we will now go over the disassembly of the G-Force GFY-1 12-gauge bullpup. While going through the disassembly, I will show different components that work to create the cycle of operations. We will begin by ensuring that the firearm is clear and there is no ammunition in the chamber. We'll do that by pulling down on the bolt lever, locking the bolt in place using the bolt catch. We will then physically and visually inspect the chamber. We will close the chamber. We will remove the barrel shroud, which just screws on. Set that to the side. We'll remove the bolt lever, which just pulls out. Can be a little tight. Set that to the side. We will then take the handguard, push in an upward motion. It slides off. That will expose it'll expose the top of the piston. The piston has two little gas ports, which I will show when I get it disassembled. And the way this works, when you fire a round, it will move the piston in a downward motion, therefore operating the bolt. As it pushes down, it'll move the bolt backwards. And as it moves the bolt backwards, if there is a magazine inserted, the round will push up through the mag well, start going into the chamber, and as this moves forward, it will push the shell casing up into the chamber, lock it in. Then when you fire, it will, as the bullet moves past or the shot, it will cause the gas to go into the piston assembly, which will then drive the piston downward, which will start the extracting and ejecting process as it moves back. At the rear position, it will eject the shell casing. It'll move back forward and start the process again. On this part, we have the cap, the top of the piston. There's a cap that will unscrew. Fine threaded, so it takes it a minute. You pull that straight up off the barrel. You will pull the top part of the piston down, exposing two little half-moon clips. The half-moon clips just slide out. I'll show them on the camera. Two little half-moon clips. Set them to the side. At this point, we will take the piston assembly and we will slide it off. From this point, you have the barrel nut, which holds the barrel to the receiver. You will go ahead and loosen this while you still have the lower attached. It moves clockwise, so you will give it a little twist and just loosen it for the time being. Now you have two little pins that work similar to the AR platform to hold the lower receiver to the upper receiver. I find it easier to take a plastic hammer, and on the back side of the clips, as they stick through a little bit, I find it easier to take those and give them a little tap to get them started going through. At that point, you should be able to take the tool that was sent with the shotgun As you can see, you have a little hook here on the back. You take that, you will insert it underneath, and you will pull them out. Sometimes they, with the little spring that they have on the inside of them, they can catch, so it may take a little bit of working to get them out. I find it easier at this point. You have this little triangle shape right here. Find it easier to set that over, and it helps give you that little extra pull to pull them out. At this point, we will separate the lower from the upper. And I would like to take a minute right here to explain how the trigger works and how the trigger is reset by using the slide. On the trigger, as you can see, the trigger is up here. You get the hammer back here. On the inside, you can see there's a little rod that runs from the trigger back to the sear and the hammer. As the trigger is pulled, you will notice that this little rod will move as I pull the trigger. So I will hold the hammer to keep it from going forward too fast and striking. I will work slowly, ease it forward in this process. As the trigger is pulled, the sear will release the hammer, letting the hammer go forward, which will strike the firing pin. As the slide and boat carrier group move backwards after firing, it will come down, it'll catch the hammer like this, and as it moves back, it will let the hammer reset. And as it moves back forward, the hammer will be back in the position ready to fire. We will set this to the side as well. From this point, we will remove the sling attachment, set it to the side. We will then loosen up the barrel nut, which moves clockwise. This is extremely fine threaded, so it will take a minute to unscrew. You want to make sure you are pulling down on the slide. That'll help relieve some of the pressure and keep it from shooting out of the end of the receiver. Now that we have got it unscrewed, we will pull this out. We now have the receiver. On this, you have the slide, which comes down and holds the bolt carrier group. On the back, you have the firing pin, which is where the hammer will come forward and strike when you pull the trigger. Something else I'd like to point out is on the lower, you have the feed ramp that helps push the shell out from the magazine into the chamber. To remove the bolt from the slide and barrel, you will slide back. You will then pull the bolt out from the side. You will then take the slide, go over past the barrel nut, and slide straight up off the end of the barrel. You will then have the spring and the slide. We'll set them to the side, and we will remove the barrel nut. On the barrel, you have this little notch, and that is where, when it locks in, the ejector seats. As you can also see on the bottom right here, it has a slight angle which helps push the round into the chamber as it slides up the feed ramp on the lower. On the bolt, I'll show you the firing pin a little closer. The hammer hits this side, and when it is hit, the firing pin pushes through and makes contact with the primer, which causes the primer to ignite. To lock it into the cylinder, we have this little notch right here. As it moves forward into the cylinder, it will push upward, which will cause it to lock into this little groove right here. As it goes forward, it will move up, and it will lock it into position. As you fire, it will let it move backwards, which will then start the whole process over again. The ejector, I'm going to use a dummy round. Have my dummy round. We're going to set it in here. We're going to act as if this is the process. The ejector will grab the round, pull it back, and it will eject. That pretty much sums up the cycle of operations and the disassembly. On the barrel, you have two gas ports. You have one right here and one right here on the top of the barrel. And as you turn it over, you will have a third one on the bottom of the barrel. That is what pushes the lower part of the piston to go down and move the boat in the boat carrier group. It goes down, it'll open up the chamber and the action. And after the gas is released, it will move back up and it'll lock back in to the top part of the piston.